What's up, everyone? It is Isaac, your favorite AI animator. We've got an exciting tutorial today to give you guys. We're going to show you guys. So this is one part of our AI creation journey. And this is just one of the tools that we're going to be able to put on our tool belt so that we can create anime, right? Just using some tools. And the tool that we are going to be showing you guys today is called ToonCrafter. Now, a lot of people have already shown some examples of this, but I wanted to kind of give you guys my own take because I think this tool is kind of special. It is one tool of many of the tools that we're going to be able to learn and use, giving you the power to do the things that you actually want to do in creating your anime show, be able to do the scenes you want to do in creating your anime show. And so instead of me going through and describing what this is, I'm just going to go ahead and show you guys. So let me start sharing. And boom. So this tool was originally developed by a University of Hong Kong, and they were in collaboration with Tencent AI Lab, as well as this Monash University. I'm not sure if I pronounced the name correctly, but the tool was specifically made for animators in mind. Something that we've been saying since day one, right? Since day one is how hard it is to create anime. And for those that have already tried, or at least like have even tried to look up the documentaries for it, this shit is hard. The amount of time that it takes to be able to draw these frame by frame is insane. The amount of money, the amount of experience, not alone like a big studio, a team being able to do this, as well as like special effects and any other stuff. So for those that are out here, don't got the time to gain the kind of experience, don't got the money, right? Or you don't have the skills. We are going to learn some skills today that are going to be able to help us get closer to that goal. And that is ToonCrafter. But as I was saying, this was specifically made for those that are already in the animation industry. For those that are already good at drawing and sketching, there's something called in-betweening, where essentially you have the more talented artists draw one frame and then they draw a second frame, right? A beginning frame and an end frame. And then some people use a tool to interpolate or in between those two frames, or sometimes they just hire it out to a bunch of people on Fiverr or on a bunch of other freelancers that want to get into the AI industry. And so this is one thing. Even the background is usually hired out. So that's one thing that we're going to be able to learn later on. But instead of doing that, we are going to use this tool to be able to help us get closer to that goal. And that's ToonCrafter. And so I'm just going to show you guys some of these showcases that they've got at the beginning. And as I was saying, you have an end frame, a beginning frame, and an end frame. And then the tool will combine them and create a whole bunch of other frames so that you are animating them. And here's our first example is a girl. It doesn't look like much is changing on this end scene, but you're going to be able to see that it does a great job. So, and you can prompt it too. So you can see like hair is moving and it's showing just by the, like, look at the slight change in this like handkerchief, facial expression, a little bit of hair. It picks up all that from it. And then here's our second one. It looks like a stamp that is essentially coming up. So it's just on the way up here a little bit, and here it's even higher up or further up. And boom, right? Like, look how clean that is. Here's another one where you've got some girl here that's holding a light with a squirrel on her shoulder. And as you can see, like the hand is moving closer. And it was able not only to depict the hand, but the light movement that's like spewing out. Even some of the facial movements too, a little bit. Here's another one of somebody walking. And as you can see here, like they're kind of a little bit of distance away. And then here they moved a little bit closer. Look how clean that looks. Like usually this right? If we're working at like 30 frames per second, even like a 3 second video, like you're already talking about, like look at that 1 second for 30 frames. We are not going to be trying to sketch 30 frames, guys. Uh, that's a little ridiculous, but much respect for those that were able to do it so that we can have our enjoyment of watching some of our favorite TV shows. Um, the second part of this is that it's able to take inputs, like same thing, right? So in betweening, where you have a beginning frame and an end frame, but instead of it interpolating like that, we can actually give it some guidance, right? So we can put in like an input video of a sketch guidance that we have not colored in yet. So for those that are looking or maybe don't have the time to go and do the coloring in for the sketches that they've already done, right? Like as I said, like this was built with the right people in mind, those that are already artists, already in the anime scene, specifically trained on anime videos, right? And so look at this, right? So we have a colored end frame or beginning frame and an end frame, and then they've kind of sketched out the movement here. And here's the tools work, and it filled in all that. Amazing, right? And then here's another one. You guys can't really see it. Let's see if I can just like, yeah. So it's a character standing back here and a guy putting on some gloves, or putting on a glove with their hand. And they submitted the sketch and boom, right? Like, look how good that looks. Like that is like, 2 seconds. And that's the average time. Like the next time you go and watch any movie, right? Forget anime, any movie. These aren't long sequences where they've got like 10 seconds of like a sequence. Is that they've got like 2 to 3 seconds of a video and then it changes perspective. Sometimes they just get from like different camera angles or just show different people talking, but the average time is 3 seconds. 3 seconds, right? 2 to 3 seconds is like usually what they get. And max sometimes they go up to like just for talking scenes too, or if it's something really simple. And so, like with something like this, like you can create some pretty good videos if you know what to like get at, right? So the other part of this is sketch interpolation. So we've just seen where you can put in a sketch video and then have a colored beginning frame and an end frame, and it'll color in based on your video input. Here you can do the same thing as we were doing with the color before, where it's in betweening or interpolating between the two images. So here's a picture of a horse and the horse going further out. And look how good that looks. So technically, like you could go and like if you're somebody who's already pretty good at drawing, like you could start doing this and create these like end frames, put a whole bunch of these together, and then just go through here, like give it some examples of colors, and all of a sudden, like you've got video input that you're interpolating from getting here, plugging those videos input back into the colored, and now you've got some pretty good color movement, right? Like that's the idea. Um, But another part of this, another reference that we want to show is instead of having a beginning frame and an end frame, you can also put in just like a sketch movement, give it one image for reference, and all of a sudden it creates it over here. Same thing here, right? Input of a video that is a sketch. Here's a reference image that is like of the same thing, and look at that. Clean, clean. Now, you probably are getting excited, and they specifically come out and basically they were just like, yo, chill out, guys. Like, yes, we get that. Like, this is pretty cool and it's a work in progress. But they were like, guys, chill out. Like, this isn't going to solve all your problems. This is just something that, it won't work for everything, but, it's going to give us a pretty good start. And so they even went through and showed some limitations on it. As you can see here, like there's a bunch of artifacts where this is like a part of an airplane that isn't really supposed to move, supposed to be rigid. And it's like, look at it, it's flapping around like a piece of cloth. But like you can understand, like the AI probably thinks that like that's a piece of cloth. Like I thought it was a piece of cloth looking at it from if I didn't know the context here. And so same thing here where you have a guy that's supposed to be walking out of a scene and another guy appears, right? And it just kind of morphs into this. Look at that. It just morphs into that guy. So it's not perfect. There are a couple of things that need to be done with it, but it's much better than what was already out there, right? Like, look at what's going on with different inputs for this airplane. Like these are the previous interpolation AI projects out there or AI tools, and like look at like how much artifacts. Like, there's no wings; it's losing its wings here. This one, the clouds are morphing all weird. This one is just like this looks like what happens right now with some of these Stable Diffusion's AI videos where everything's just kind of merging together. So does this, right? Like we've seen a lot of these, but you're trying to get something like this where the background's moving consistently, the airplane's moving consistently, and look how great of a job it's doing, right? Like, whereas something like this, nope. So, um, like even with this dome, right? Like this is like a previous artifact. And you've all seen stuff like this because we can create stuff like that. But the great thing about this tool is like it's able to surpass that. It's just it's made specifically for anime, right? Like it's made for anime, guys. So if you're patient enough and are like trying to figure this out to do the scene that you want, you can figure this out. Here's the example of that, like of this thing kind of going away. So it's pretty cool. Um, as I said, like it's not perfect. So even in something like this is theirs. Obviously, like the guy disappears here. Like there's no legs here. You know, this thing is just weird. This guy's just kind of dragging, right? Um, theirs does a little better, but like, you know, you can still see some artifacts. Like look at that. The legs look like they're moving and then they start kicking a little bit over here. So it starts looking weird, but it's way better than what was out there. And with a little bit of like creativity, like you can figure this out. So what are we going to do next? So what I'm going to do is I'll show you guys some examples of it that I'm creating myself. And so let's jump into that. Um, just a heads up before we dive too deep. Installing this was a bit harder than some of the other ones out there. So if you're somebody who's trying to install this on their own um, computer, like local machine, follow the guidance here. But where I started to have an issue was with my PyTorch, um, or at least like the here, I'll show you guys. Okay, so you're installing this, you're installing ToonCrafter, you install the requirements, and then you're basically just supposed to be able to run it. But what's going on underneath the hood is, I'll show you guys another one here. So it's installing this like Torch Vision, Torch Audio, and then you install these like Xformers. But sometimes you've already got them installed on your computer or they don't match right. And so I kept running into an issue where, or my CUDA version was a mismatch with my Torch Vision. And so the way to fix it was there's another similar, so I'm using this one because I've run into similar issues with this particular Comfy UI custom node. And thus Echo Mimic. Echo Mimic is extremely hard because like it's got these dependencies on like a CUDA version that is less than 2.2. And right now, like, you know, we're up to like 2.4. And that can end up messing things up. And so they've given us a more little more detailed installation where you run through uninstalling everything and then you reinstall everything um, with the right versions. And so that is that. So usually I just come back if I run into issues and I come to this one and I just run one of these ones. Where is it? These ones right here. Just copy the whole thing and then I just go run it on my machine. I'm gonna run this on my run pod. So I tried running this on my local machine, but I kept running into issues because I don't have enough. As you can see here, it's gonna throw an error. Like I don't got enough memory. I've got technically like uh, I've got 4 GPUs, actually 12 gigabytes each. And so like that should be a pretty good amount, right? Like what is it, 48 for all of them? The cool Comfy UI doesn't run, like it doesn't let you run all four on the same thing. Like you can only use one GPU um per workflow, at least per run. There's some clever ways to try to get around it, but that hasn't really worked for me. So if you know of any way to do that and it's a clean way, let me know, depending on you guys. Thanks. So let's get to it. So we want to deploy ToonCrafter here. I tried creating my own, but at the end, I decided I was going to create a workflow that you guys can end up using. I'm putting it out there, making it easy so that you don't have to go through the installation yourself. So I'm just going to kind of put it together with the rest of the stuff that I have. And here we are. And I think we are live. Let's check out the logs real quick. And we've got video suite helper failed, Comfy Essential failed. And we've got a failure on our thing too. And that is because what is missing is this. Oh yeah, CV2. Damn it. We gotta run through this again. Okay, let's go do it. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, here we are. This is our general default workflow, right? It's a little different than that because they've kind of created their own kind of nodes for this. And so we're going to go straight to their channel. And let me just make this smaller so that I can navigate quicker. And we're going to go to examples. And we're going to find this ToonCrafter workflow. We're going to copy that, go straight into here, copy that, paste. All right, so let's just take a quick moment to run through what these nodes are doing. So the very first thing we see is this upload image node, and this is how you upload your endpoints, or at least your beginning frame and your end frame. So this will be your beginning frame and this will be your end frame. All this is doing is making it so that your frames are the same size. And here we're resizing the image we're putting in so that it's 512 by 512. Same here, because it's required that for each image, for both the beginning frame and the end frame, that they are the same size. And so we're going to do 512 by 512. And then we're going to basically take those, run them through like a image multiple batch, so that we're sending both images in together. And then since we're sending them in as like one image, we're going to batch them into this get image and size count. And these you can basically go and find, like if you want to go and create this workflow yourself, oftentimes all you got to do is search for get image and size. So here it is here. Well, that's the second frame for it. So get image and size count. Boom. There it is. So we can end up working with this. So we put in our beginning frame, our end frame, we resize both of them so that they both match and are the same size. We push them in to our multiple batch so that like they're just being put in as like batches of image, so 2 batches. And then those 2 batches will be captured together by this node, which will take multiple and throws them right into our ToonCrafter interpolation. So again, this right here is like our K sampler that we've been using, right? So this is the heart of this particular workflow. This is where all the magic's happening behind closed door, and we're feeding it a model. And that model that we're feeding it comes from here, right? Again, this is like the brains. The model is trained on specific things. So this is the model that's trained on all the anime images and anime videos. And so like it's the brain. It knows what to do. It has the information. We put it into our heart here, which is like the AI where things happen in the latent space. So this is the black box, stuff are happening in the background. And then we also need this like clip vision. The text encoder, the clip text encoder was a way for us to talk to our model, right? To talk to the AI. And then here's our text that we're going to be sending it, pretty short, passing that right into the AI space itself. And then we've got a decoder that will help bring the information from the AI latent space into the pixel space. That's what this guy is doing, the decoder. And then this guy, we've already seen, just puts all of our stuff back together. So it takes all the frames, stitches them back together so that it looks like a video. So for our case here, let's try. So here's one that I've tried already. So this was a person that was walking. I know this is not anime, but it's a person that's walking close to this tree. And let's do the second person. So as you can see, the person's walked already and they touched the tree. So we can just say scene. Let me zoom in here so you guys can see what I'm typing. Scene, man walking through a tree. Leave it, and we're gonna run Q. Oops, we've already got our first error. And that is because this thing is trying to run accelerate, which helps speed things up. And I think we might need to actually go and install it. See, this is why once I actually get it working, like I just want to be able to provide a like a place where you guys can go and then be able to run it all you want, right? Like that's um our whole goal isn't to be sitting here, pull our hairs out while trying to solve these issues here. Um, we're trying to create stuff like, we're creators. We just want to get to the creating part. And so hopefully that's part of the value that I'm providing for you guys. We are, and we're just gonna change a different seed here. Boom. Random. Or this is increment. All right. And here is our video. Awesome. Right? So like look at that. And so like I said, like the model is really good at figuring stuff out. So like it's a little blurry, but it's got like a pretty good concept of what's going on. So let's do one more thing. Or maybe just a couple more. Cool. Let's do this chick here, this chick here. So we're gonna go through. Probably should have wrote something like instead of a man walking in a tree. Let's see what it does with our prompt though, even though it's got nothing to do with it. The CFG, where's our CFG? CFG is 7, so hopefully the model has a little bit more room instead of like putting it to something over 10 where it's gonna look at our image a lot more. See, it's not as good, but it still does a lot better um, than a lot of the diffusion models that are out there. So let's just change this to something like anime scene girl pointing finger. And all right, here's our end result. Look at that. It's a lot better than what we had before, right? Like the scenes in between, it's still a little bit blurry. Like this model isn't trained specifically for the best quality. Like we're using 512 by 512, but it was trained on 512 by like 320, I think. Yeah, 512 by 320 images. But it's doing its best to try to interpolate based on whatever we give it. Um, this is already like that's something you can end up using, right? Like, and it took us what, like 4 seconds to do that. Now imagine like we got this workflow down and all of a sudden we're just like plugging images back and forth. Like that's the power of AI is yes, it takes work to set it up, right? Like, but this is then what we can use. Like if you become a little bit more creative, you can get a lot of stuff done with this. I'm kind of scared of what it's gonna give because these are so look at that. It's a little weird, right? Like it's kind of funky here, but it's also kind of cute. Like, I don't know. But that's funny. Love it. All right. That's it for this tutorial. This will be one tool that we can use on our tool belt on our way to create anime. And hopefully you enjoyed this. If you've got any questions, feel free to reach me on my social medias, on Twitter, X, or Instagram. And then hopefully we'll be starting the school community by end of this week or end of next week. And then we'll be able to do video calls and be able to talk to each other, ask questions, that kind of stuff. Until next time, see you guys, and thanks. Boom.